What is going on, everyone? We are back with another review. So before we get started, please remember that if you want to see everything a week earlier, to go hit up the Patreon. It'll be in the description below. Anyways, so we covered the Twilight Zone Season 1 episode... Why am I so far down on this list? 5, I believe. Yeah, this is episode 5. It's called... Sorry, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's called Walking Distance. This was directed by Robert Stevens, which this is the second episode that Robert Stevens directed in the season so far. The first one was the very first episode, which was my favorite episode so far. This one might be up there with my favorite episodes. It was, of course, written by Rod Serling, and music was also by Bernard Herrmann, which was also the guy that did the music for the first episode. So that's cool that this seemed to be like the group from the very first episode that did another one. It released October 30th, 1959. So this was like their Halloween episode. That's wild. And it didn't seem very Halloweeny. So, just to give you kind of a rundown of what happened, a guy... I believe his name was Sloan, Mr. Sloan. I don't remember what his actual name is now, which is crazy because I just watched the damn thing. My short-term memory is shot. But he stops to get an oil change and realizes that he sees a sign that says he's a mile and a half from where he grew up. A mile to a mile and a half from where he grew up. And he had left New York City because he just needed some time away, and he goes to visit. And as he goes through, he stops by an old shop that he used to that he used to visit all the time as a kid, where he would buy dime sodas with 3 scoops, as he says. And the guy makes him a chocolate soda, 3 scoops. Only charges him a dime. And he was like, it's crazy to think that I grew up here and it doesn't look like anything has changed a bit. He says, I even remember Mr. Wilson, who used to sleep up in the chair, up in that back room up there, and I almost expect to go up there and see him there, even though I know he passed away. Which, after he leaves, the guy that works there goes upstairs, and sure enough, Mr. Wilson's sitting up in his chair. So he starts to walk around town. Hi, buddy. See, this is what I missed. This is why I panicked when you weren't around. Yeah. But no, so he goes around and is looking for, starts looking around the town, finally runs across what he finds out is himself as a kid. And you realize that he has somehow traveled back in time. He then goes to try to visit his parents, and they freak out and kick him out. They basically tell him to leave, and he does, and he walks around town for a little bit, goes back, talks with his dad, and his dad is like, hey, you need to leave before anything bad happens. And when his mom steps outside, he runs up to him, pulls out like his license and stuff to show it to her. She slaps him. He drops all the stuff. He runs off to go find himself because he needs to talk to himself. And he does find himself riding a merry-go-round. And he jumps up onto the merry-go-round, and as his young self realizes that somebody's coming after him, he goes to... Dear God, I'm so sorry for the yawns, guys. Like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's going to keep happening too, which is annoying. So he jumps off. The kid version of himself jumps off the merry-go-round and ends up hurting his leg, which causes his leg to buckle. Later on, his dad shows up at the merry-go-round and is like, hey, the boy's going to be fine, but he'll walk with a limp for the rest of his life. I looked at your stuff, and you indeed are who you say you are. He said, and you kind of get the moral of the story in this conversation where he says, you're looking too much at the past, and you need to worry more about what's in front of you. I don't know how things get to be the way that they are. I see that you're in New York City and you speak as if you're not happy with things. But um, you need to find a merry-go-round where you're at. Let your past self live his life, and you need to live yours. Don't look in the past, look to the future. And it's one of those morals that I feel like so many people fall victim to this mentality of just constantly looking at their past. Now, when I say looking at their past, I'm not talking about reminiscing, guys. We all reminisce. I have tons of times where I'm like, man, I miss the days where I used to sit around a TV set. It was me and 3 of my friends, if not more. It could have been more. And we'd be playing a video game on like the N64. And if somebody loses, one of the, you pass the stick or whatever. And I just remember having all these I miss that part of life, but I don't dwell on it. Like, I know and enjoy moving forward with life. That's the cat clawing something. But yeah, I just feel too many people do. They just get caught up in the past, and they wish things would go back to the way they were. And while I miss things, I don't want them to go back. I just miss them, right? And I think for me, the only thing that I wish I would have got to experience, and don't get me wrong, I'm definitely glad of where I'm at in life now. I love the people I'm around, my kids, fiance, things like that. I do think it would have been really cool to really experience life in like the 50s, though, because I feel like times were much more simple overall. Like, so much is complicated now. Like, regardless of when you're watching this, I mean, this comes out in September of 2024, and so much is going on with like equal rights for LGBTQ plus communities, among so many other things. It's just crazy to see. Everybody hates each other. If anyone has a difference of opinions, it's people just suck. And I would have loved to have got to experience a much more simple time. Because, yeah, people are just nuts. I don't know, that's the best way I can explain it. People are just insane. People argue online over things that don't matter. And I just hate so much of everything right now. Other than the people that I've got near me. And watching old stuff like this. Or honestly, I like watching new stuff too, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so anyways. I would almost be willing to say I think this is my new favorite episode. So we digressed. It ends with time basically speeding up. He goes back into the diner. A new guy is working there, offers him a soda, but has to charge him extra for 3 scoops. And so he decides he's not going to have the soda, so he leaves, gets back to his car, pays the guy, gives him a tip for doing the work that he did, and leaves. And that was it. So yeah, again, I really liked that episode, and I thought it was really, really well done. And here's the thing: it's funny that it's another Robert Stevens directed episode. I don't think it has so much to do with the direction, because everything's been directed well up to this point. I just think it's funny that the 2 episodes that I've really, really liked have the exact same entire team minus the actors and actresses, because obviously that's a little different. And I think a lot of it is, I don't know. It was a really good episode though. So anyways, guys, that is going to do this. And thank you guys for hanging out with me for a little bit. I'm going to go to bed. I got work in the morning. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.